Welcome to the Crypto Guild. My name is Rahul and I am your host. Here at the Guild, we really dedicate this channel towards all the crypto enthusiasts out there who want to better understand the exciting new world of cryptocurrencies and all the underlying technologies that power it. We're going to be talking about lots of things, lots of different tokens, technology reviews, blockchain use cases, breaking news, and a whole lot more. So, if understanding this complex world in an easy to digest manner is your thing, well then, you're absolutely in the right place. Let's get started. So even if you're new to cryptocurrency, there's a good chance you've heard of Dogecoin. It's been all over the news. Elon Musk is the official Doge father, and we soon might be able to buy Teslas using Doge. Yeah. So it's obviously been getting a lot of press recently, and what I wanted to do was take a closer look at this coin, because for the most part I've actually been ignoring it. There are a lot of great projects out there in terms of cryptocurrencies, and frankly this coin, I didn't take it seriously and it wasn't really on my list. But just given its recent price action, all the publicity it's been getting, I thought, you know what, it's worth taking a closer look. So I did some digging and here's what I found. So let's talk about the early days of Doge, right? So this is a meme coin created by Billy Marcus from IBM and Jackson Palmer from Adobe. So the two of them back in 2013 wanted to make fun of all the different cryptocurrency projects that were sort of mushrooming up and wanted to become the next big thing. So they decided to sort of create this coin, to make fun of all these different projects. They gave it a sort of mascot of a Shiba Inu, which is a particular kind of dog, and yeah, they launched it. In fact, neither of them are blockchain or crypto programmers. And what they did was they actually looked for the code online, and they found out how to deploy a blockchain, and they sort of released Dogecoin in about three to 4 hours is what they said it took them. So they mined their first block on 6th December 2013, which is to say their blockchain went live. And then about 3 weeks later, they actually had their first hack. So not a great start, but essentially the wallet application that they had created got hacked by someone who essentially routed all the transactions to one particular address, one static address, and ended up stealing about 30 million coins at the time. I think the price, it was probably worth only about $15,000-$20,000 at the time of the theft. So that was a bumpy start for Dogecoin. But then, to their credit, they actually ran sort of a campaign called Doge Mass. And the campaign essentially was asking for contributions from the Doge community to make all the people who had lost coins in the hacking, to make them whole again. And it was a great thing. The community responded, and through a lot of donations from various people from the community, a large number of those coins were returned to the community. It's not exactly clear how many coins were returned, but sounds like at least half, if not more, were recovered as part of the fundraising process. Doge's actually did some interesting things in their earlier days. So they raised money to sponsor the Jamaican bobsled team. Yeah, bobsled. The Jamaican bobsled team. They raised $30,000 for the team, and that was sort of one of their first sort of public, fundraisers. It went well, and they wanted to essentially sponsor the team for the Sochi Winter Olympics in 2014. So that was really cool. Next, let's talk a little bit about their team and governance. So I sort of wanted to see, like, like how big is the development community, how many folks have been involved, how long have they been involved. So I was looking around for information on that, and so outside of the two inventors, so that's Billy and Jackson, sounds like it was primarily the two of them to starting out. And in April 2015, Jackson Palmer actually not only left the project, he kind of walked away from cryptocurrency as a whole. And sort of the backstory there is that he was really disillusioned with all the crypto schemes and hacks, and just sort of the kind of people it had attracted at the time. And so he kind of walked away from it. Following that, from what I understand, Doge has about 4 or 5 part-time developers as of now. But just given their sort of like recent publicity, they have been kind of, trying to set up, a sort of core development team. And actually, Dogelabs in May of 2021, which is a newly launched division of AppSwarm's blockchain labs, they're essentially trying to set up a sort of like a Doge developer foundation where they can actually have access to Doge developers, or create sort of like a reserve of Doge developers across the board. Fun fact, Elon Musk is actually the honorary CEO of Doge. Yeah, that happened in 2019. So Elon Musk is CEO of Doge. And so that's all I could really find about like the team, small team, part-time. From a governance perspective, I looked into this, and it doesn't appear that Dogecoin has any on-chain governance. So what is on-chain governance? Well, it's really just the concept that for any blockchain to continue to evolve, you have to create sort of like processes and technology that's going to support that evolution process, right? So let's say you decide that you want community members to propose changes to the blockchain, and then you want people to be able to like vote on it, right? So then essentially that's your process. You build a process around that, and you use the tokens to sort of enable that process, right? But I think just given the hurry in which Billy and Jackson were in when they decided to do their joke back in 2013, I don't know that they gave a whole lot of thought to the on-chain governance model. So I didn't find anything based on all my research. So I'm just going to say they don't really have one as of now, which is to say that they don't really have a way to formally enhance the network, which is not to say that they couldn't come up with a way to do it, but as of now, it doesn't exist, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about market cap and price action. So obviously when Doge launched back in December 2013, it was, fractions of a cent. And then during the 2017-18 crypto bubble, I believe they reached like a market cap of close to like 2 billion and almost 2 cents in terms of like price. They actually hit their all-time high of 73 cents and a market cap of 62.2 billion on May 7th or 8th. And they're currently sitting at about a 56 billion market cap, and the price has dropped since May 7th or 8th, but that's normal for Doge. It's currently, I think it's about 43 cents or so. So, it's even though the crypto experts out there will like love to tell you what the exact reasons are for, these price increases and dips. But the truth is, like, I think it has, a lot to do with 3 things really. So one is social media. So, Dogecoin's been getting like a lot of like publicity on social media. So whether that's, TikTok, I believe there were videos on TikTok, which, they wanted Dogecoin to go to $1, right? So that was in July of like last year, July 2020. And then obviously there's very easy access to Dogecoin on Robinhood. It's a sort of trading platform, and a lot of other sort of exchanges as well, like Binance. I believe Coinbase is adding is adding Doge as well. So, it's been a combination. And oh, wait, I've probably forgot the most important point. And that is Elon Musk. So outside of all these factors, there's Elon, the Elon effect. So there's him as well, right? So all these things sort of have been like helping the price sort of like go like, skyrocket up in like a very short period of time. So essentially a lot of price movements in Doge. But you know what? Let's have a closer look at sort of like the tokenomics and the tech behind Doge, and we'll sort of get into like, Doge wallets, how many Doge coins people on average hold, and things of that nature, just to get a better understanding of what the distribution is, right, of sort of token holders across the entire ecosystem. So let's talk tokenomics and tech. All right, so now for like Doge tokenomics, right? So let's understand what the Doge supply is, how much inflation it has, and sort of other things that might influence its future sort of value. So when Doge was created, the inventors actually set a supply cap of, I believe, 100 billion, right? And because, for various reasons, that supply cap was actually reached in the middle of 2015, right? And so once the supply cap is reached, the only sort of Doge coins that are sort of published or created by the blockchain network itself would be for the miners or the validators, right? They're the ones actually committing the transactions to the block. It would be only rewards for their work, for them. So there's about 5 billion rewards that are produced like every year, and that's it. There's no more Doge coin other than that exists. So they hit their 100 billion market cap, again, like I said, mid 2015. Every year, they can only produce 5 billion Doge as part of like the reward structure for different miners. And so what that means actually is that over time, they actually create sort of like a favorable inflation schedule. It doesn't necessarily mean that Doge is absolutely useless. There are like an unlimited number of coins. So the way it'll work is it hit its 100 billion market cap in 2015. It's going to take only 5 billion coins every year are produced. So it's going to take 20 years to essentially double that market cap. And then for every doubling beyond that, it's going to take like longer and longer. So what you're going to see is like currently there's like a 5% inflation. Then after about 20 years, the inflation rate will actually come down to 3% and so on and so forth. So the inflation actually improves, which is something I didn't know. The general sort of theory about Doge is that it has like an unlimited supply, and yeah, so good to know. The current sort of transaction fee for Doge is about 3.86 Doge, which is pretty low. It's currently only about $1.50 or $1.60, something like that. But I just want to make a note over here that since Doge was never like optimized or configured for transaction fee sort of optimization, if the price of Doge goes up, so will this transaction fee, right? So the higher the price goes, the higher will be the transaction fee. And it may actually come to a point where it gets really expensive even to transact on Doge. For example, for argument's sake, if Doge grew as big as Bitcoin, right? So I think it would have significantly higher transaction fees. Can that be sort of optimized or changed at this point? Sure, you can actually make protocol level like developments, but as of now, right, I don't think any significant planning or work has been done on that front. I found some interesting things after I looked at sort of like the breakout of Doge wallets and how many Doge coins the wallets kind of have. And there's actually an article written on Yahoo Finance which gives, it's somewhat disturbing, but actually only about 100 different wallets, 100, control the entire market cap of Doge, right? So that is a bit concerning, right? And they found a couple of wallets actually had like almost 40% of the supply, right? So obviously it's highly concentrated. A very few wallets actually hold, a significant amount of Doge, and the amount of Doge that's in these 100 wallets, if they wanted to, they could move the markets just, really easily by themselves. So that's something that's a little bit of like a red flag for me. But let's get into the tech behind Doge, right? All right, let's talk Dogecoin Tech now. Dogecoin's code base is essentially the same as Litecoin's, right? Which means that it uses a proof of work consensus mechanism along with the script mining algorithm, right? Now, the thing to note over here is that Bitcoin miners cannot mine Dogecoin, but Litecoin miners can mine Dogecoin because essentially the code base is a derivative of the Litecoin code base. So that is in fact the case. A lot of Litecoin miners have doubled up as sort of Dogecoin miners. But what I found pretty interesting was that when I looked at sort of the distribution of miners for Dogecoin across the world and the ecosystem, what I found was that essentially there are like 8 mining pools that control all of Dogecoin. And there's one mining pool which has, I think, 33 different miners in it. And they control about 33% of the network. So I guess what I would say here is that this is a little concerning, because all this means is that if 51% of the miners decided to work together and collude to try and rip the system and its users off, they could easily do it, right? So these mining pools, you just have to combine 2-3 of them and you'd probably reach more than a 51% share, which means they would then have the ability to alter transactions, choose which transactions actually get committed, which ones don't. They could print and make a lot of money for themselves. So this is a bit concerning the way I see it and in my experience related to blockchain. All right, let's talk partnership, adoption, and use cases. So in terms of partnerships, I didn't really see too many partnerships out there for Dogecoin. So the one I did see was How To Ventures. It's a venture capitalist fund which invested in Doge back in 2018. They've also invested in a whole bunch of other coins as well. In terms of as a form of payment though, Doge has made a lot of progress, and a good amount of that progress has been this year. So the highlights here are that Mark Cuban, so the owner of the NBA's Dallas Maverick team, so he's accepting Dogecoin related to ticket sales, and I believe they did about 20,000 different transactions, making, I think, his team, the Dallas Mavericks, one of the most sort of transacted entities as far as accepting Doge is concerned. There are a whole bunch of other merchants as well who've started to accept Doge. I'll sort of put up a link on where you can access those merchants. There are about 48 of them as of now, and the list is continuing to grow. So what's evident here is that the primary use case as of now for Dogecoin is as a medium of exchange, right? And in terms of is it the most optimal as a medium of exchange? I don't think so. You could make a case that there are a number of other blockchains that are far better suited to the medium of exchange sort of label. So as of now, that looks to be the primary use case, medium of exchange. So let's get into sort of conclusions. All right, so here are sort of some key takeaways, right? So what's our conclusion after looking at these sort of 5, 6 different areas of Doge and coming up with sort of, the highlights of it. So Doge definitely has a lot going for it, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, the coin is, obviously grabbed headlines over the last few like months. It's gone like parabolic in terms of like price action. Elon Musk is the Doge father. Who wouldn't want that? You may be able to buy, Teslas with Doge. It's amazing. But that said, if I look at sort of like the longer term view about Doge, here are sort of the things that concern me, right? So one is it only has like a small team, 4 to 5 part-time like developers. That's not big at all. There are lots of sort of blockchain projects which have like, a large, team which are like well funded. So in terms of like in comparison, that's pretty low. They do have upside in the fact that merchants are sort of like beginning to accept Doge. But again, my concern here is that tomorrow, if the price like crashes of Doge, how viable would it be? And would merchants continue to accept it, right? So that's the question there. They don't have too many like investor partnerships. They do have how-to ventures. That's one of them. But again, other blockchain projects have significantly more. So not a whole lot going on there. They don't have an on-chain governance model, which is again a point of concern. They may be able to address it in the future, but currently they don't have one. So they don't actually have a formal way, a process around which you can make enhancements to the network, right? Second, in terms of the distribution of Dogecoin, right, it is very highly centralized. 100 wallets actually control, a majority of the market cap for Doge, which is to say that those folks these wallets could easily move the market in whichever way they wanted. So that's, again, a concern. Then the fact that they have, such a small amount of mining pools, so like they only have 8 mining pools, which actually secure all of Doge. So if, 3, 4 of them decide to get together and, mess things up for everyone, they could do it. Yeah, I would just say that, Doge can make improvements, and it could definitely beef up its protocols, its tech, but that would take time. That would take time, a significant number of developers and resources. So I think as things stand, I'm going to stick to my initial view, right, on Doge, where I think that, but no, I really don't think. I give it almost like a D in terms of like long-term potential, because there's just so many more interesting projects out there. That was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you on the next one.